Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Eric, and today I thought what we'd do is talk about different pricing strategies of what do you charge your customer. And it's all going to depend upon whether you're full-time, part-time, you've been at it for a while, or you're just starting out. Stay tuned. So welcome back. My name is Eric, and as you can see, I run a repair shop. And a lot of the questions that I'm getting is, how do I price what I do? And it all depends upon experience. You got to start somewhere, and also depends upon whether you're looking to do this part-time, whether you're looking to flip stuff, if you're, full-time and you want to have a residual income coming in. So the things we're going to talk about today, let's start with flat rate. And what is flat rate? Flat rate is you come up with an idea of what a part and labor normally entails, right? So that means you've been at it for a while. See, with flat rate, you have to have some experience. And that is, if you're a flat rate mechanic for a shop, you already know this, that you're against the clock, and if you can get it done quicker than what the time allotted is, you're making money. If you end up going over, then anytime you spend over that allotted time, you're losing money on it, right? Same thing with flat rate when it comes to your shop, that if you're telling a customer it's going to cost 50 bucks to do a chainsaw service, then it's 50 bucks. Anything over 50 bucks that you put into it, if you haven't stipulated it, then it's going to cost you money, right? Because if you've been dealing with customers, that's one of the biggest things they want to know, right? How much it's going to cost. So I would say flat rate is for more experienced guys that know their abilities and how much time it takes to do it. It's more appealing to the customer because then they know how much it's going to cost, right? But you need to know what a fair price is for that job overall. So flat rate, I would say, is for the more experienced person. It's a good way to do it as long as you don't price yourself out of the market or you undersell yourself. So what does that bring us to the next? Hourly. Okay, you've heard me before say you can't learn on a customer's back. But when minimum wage is 15 bucks an hour, you should be making $15, $20 an hour minimum, okay? Now, if you're running a full-fledged shop, like here, we charge 55. A number of the other shops are up to 120. Are they any better? No. Are we any worse? No. It's what I feel that we can make money on and still remain competitive in the market. And usually hourly is how much an hour you're going to charge plus parts, all right? And a lot of times, we don't have this crystal ball, all right? And what I found is that a lot of times, if you start promising customers X, Y, and Z of how much it's going to cost, those are the jobs that you're going to have that are pain in the asses. They're going to take a lot longer. And if you didn't figure that in, you're going backwards. So as long as you're honest with the customer on how you spent your hours that you were working on it, and you need to really keep track of this, folks. That's the biggest problem I see, is that you need to keep a running slot. If you got 2 units out in the shop, you can't charge for both of them at the same time. If you have one mechanic, that mechanic is responsible for keeping track of the hours that they spend per machine, so that you're not overcharging one customer and undercharging the other, right? So what holds true is, depending upon your experience, is based on how much you should get an hour, right? So if you're first starting out or you're doing this part-time, 15, 20 bucks is fine, because you're in the learning stage. We all started somewhere, maybe watching these videos that we put out. That's how we do it here at the shop. We do it hourly, so much an hour plus parts. If we run into something that's going to be a big deal, we'll call you. That's how we leave it. But, keep track of the hours you spend on it. And I'm not saying if another customer shows up and your mechanic's got his hand on that lawnmower talking to the other customer, that you tack hours onto that machine. No. If you aren't physically working on it, I don't expect you to be putting it down. And I don't want to bill a customer for stuff that we haven't done. All right? All right, so next would be diagnostic fee. When and why should you charge a diagnostic fee is what I hear. All right. You have to charge a diagnostic fee on everything that comes through. And you need to figure out what's a reasonable diagnostic fee. We charge $40, straight up. And why do we charge $40? Because a lot of times what ends up happening is you do a diagnostic on it and you've just told the customer what's the matter with it. So now they're on YouTube watching videos of how to fix it and ordering their own parts. You just lost a job. You need to recoup something from your time that you pulled away from, something that you could have made money on, right? Now, if the customer says go ahead with it, then we usually absorb the diagnostic fee, all right? Whatever time we spent on it, and if I know that we can knock the job out in an hour and it's going to be a reasonable cost, I drop the diagnostic fee, go hourly, and just get the job done, call the customer and say, okay, we did a diagnostic and it took us another 15, 20 minutes and we had your problem solved. Here's what the price is going to be. But if the customer decides not to go ahead with it or is just trying to pick your brain on what it could be, you need to have something out of it. Because I'm telling you guys, if you're doing that for somebody else, it's taking time away from what you could be doing that you could be making money at. Next is parts and labor. That's what most shops do that are legitimate shops, is we try to make money on the part and on the labor instead of all just strictly on the labor. You know, some of your shops are just labor only, right? Plus parts. When you're doing parts and labor, that means you have to have a markup on your parts. And most times it's 20-30% to cover the cost of you have to friggin' monkey around with it, right? So I've had different ones that, say, well, I just tell my customer to go on to Amazon, eBay and buy it and then bring it here and we'll fix it for an hourly rate. No. If you're trying to run a legitimate business and you're trying to be successful and you're trying to make money for the shop, you need to make money on those parts, whether you're buying it on Amazon, eBay, or you're buying it through a distributor for aftermarket or OEM parts. Most people that I know don't care whether it's an aftermarket or OEM. We do have a few customers that want OEM, it's fine. But for the most part, they don't care. All they care about is that it runs. And if I can buy a carburetor for your chainsaw for $20 on eBay, and it's $50 and more in the aftermarkets and OEM, I'm going to take and grab that carburetor for you for $20, all right? And then you're going to mark it up 20-30% because you just spent time looking it up, trying to find it, ordering it, getting it here, all right? So you got money out. That's how most shops do it, is they have a markup on their parts and then they have labor. So you have your labor bill plus your parts with a markup on your parts. Package deals. You can do package deals, but that's kind of coming from experience, right? Like on snowblowers, you can charge like a $75 to $100 yearly service, in the fall or in the spring, whenever you're doing that for the customer. You can bundle stuff together. The hard part is writing lawnmowers, because a lot of times it depends on what engine they have, and some air filters cost more. Oil filters are right across the board. You're running synthetic oil, you know what that cost is going to be. Plugs are $4 a piece, you know what that cost is going to be. The only outlying thing would be like the air filter. The fuel filter is going to be the same. So you got the air filter. But if you budget it so that you're taking into account the most expensive air filter that's out there, and you put it together as a package deal, it's more appealing to the customer because the customer knows up front, this is what I'm going to get. And then they also think it's a special because you could say, here's our fall special when it comes to snow blowers. We'll do a fall service for $75. So you got a plug, you got oil, and a tune-up. Bang, in and out. In the spring, run a spring service special on, taking and maintenance, servicing your lawnmower for the summer. Push mowers are easy. Oil, spark plug, and they got the little air filter, the screw-in ones. Figure out what it costs for the most expensive push mower air filter and figure it that way. When it comes to riding lawnmowers, again, figure it, the most expensive air filter out there. Everything else is the same. And this is what it's going to cost. And a lot of times you can figure that out from past experience. How long do you normally have on a lawnmower service? Could be an hour. So you figure your hourly wage plus parts, what does it come out to be? And that's what you set it at. And that's with the understanding is the machine runs and drives. It just needs to have a service done on it. This isn't for repairs. This is for strictly fall and spring specials. And what I can tell you about that too is I offer a fall special for doing the lawnmowers because I know that during the fall, winter, and into spring is usually my dead time of year. So I try to move most of my customers, at least half of them, away from the spring and into the fall so that I can kind of keep the money coming through year round. So don't be afraid to do package deals with the customers because that's very appealing to them and they know exactly what they're going to spend. It's going to cost them $150. They can write the check even before you start. Now, if you run into problems where there's a repair issue, you're doing the fall special or you're doing the spring special on that lawnmower, it needs belts, blades, spindles, and this and that, then we have to come back and revisit with the customer, talk to them and say, look, we're going to do the spring special on your lawnmower, your riding lawnmower, but this is what we're seeing. What do you want to do? And allow them to make the deciding factor on when you start to jump from that to parts and labor. And by offering the package deal, that's a great way to get could-be customers to now they are your customers. It appeals to a lot of people that they're going to pay this amount. I tell you more than once that we've been told by our customers, we dropped off our lawnmower at Joe Schmo's and it ended up being more than the lawnmower was worth. That's the biggest fear that you have with any customer that's out there, is getting screwed and being taken advantage of. And you have to be an honest shop, really honest. And that is, if you can get them through the door with doing the service special, then you can start looking at long-term for return business because those customers will have faith and trust in you. So that takes us to mobile. Now, we do mobile. Not mobile, we don't do on-site, we're changing the oil and stuff, but that's a good avenue if you got the time. Here's the key considerations that you have to take into consideration when you're doing this. Is that if you're out there doing a service on somebody's lawnmower at their property, there's nobody at the shop taking the calls and booking more customers, right? So there's a trade-off. We charge $50 for a service fee, and that is to fix somebody's unit right where it's at versus bringing it all the way back to the shop and then back over. That $50 is $50 plus so much an hour while we're there. And it appeals to a lot of people that don't, in the rural areas where they don't want to have to figure out how to get their lawnmower to you. You can also offer a pickup and drop off service, but you need to make it so that you're not losing money on it too. If you've got a guy that you're paying so much an hour and you got maintenance, upkeep on the truck, the trailer, fuel, you have to take that in consideration when you start doing your pickup and drop offs. So hopefully this is kind of giving you an idea. The biggest thing is research and find out what works best for you. It's going to depend upon your experience level of whether you do flat rate, hourly, parts and labor, so, special discounts and stuff like that. But in the end, you have to remain profitable. You're not doing it just for the fun of it. At least I hope you're not. So on that note, I hope that kind of helps some of you guys out there that are trying to struggle with how to price things, there's a lot of different ways you can do it, and it's all going to depend on experience. On that note, you guys have a great day.